Hello, everyone. This is Justin Roberti from Benzinga, and we're very excited today to have Mr. Kevin O'Leary with us. So let me go ahead and bring him on. We're going to be talking a little bit about the situation having to do with the SEC and Binance, a very kind of sticky situation there. So let me go ahead and bring Mr. Wonderful himself, Kevin O'Leary, on with us. Hello, Mr. O'Leary. How are you today?
Great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time. So we wanted to talk a little bit about the situation with Binance, really the largest exchange globally at this point, and what's been happening with the SEC. You know, what really shocks me about the situation is that this isn't a case where Binance has just been dodging the SEC and then suddenly they bring the hammer down on them. It seems like Binance has been trying to work peacefully with the SEC for some time now, and suddenly 13 allegations against CZ and against Binance itself. What do you make of this turn of events?
I actually think the entire industry is turning a page in a positive way. And let me give it to you from the institutional investor's point of view. If you think about crypto over the last 3 years, we've kind of been stuck in the mud. The promise of the technology is there. I think everybody agrees that there's so much innovation, so much productivity. There's just so much that could happen here in financial services globally if we could figure out how to integrate this technology with existing financial services. And yet, Bitcoin, which is a pretty good index to measure by, has been trading forever, it seems, between 23,000 and 30,000, can't seem to get out of its own way. And the fact is, and the truth is, that the reason that's occurring is there's absolutely no institutional interest in this asset. The majority of the money involved in just investing is sovereign wealth and domestically pension, institutional wealth. And generally they would allocate to this asset class, and they've decided not to. And one of the reasons they haven't is that they live their lives on a compliant platform every day. They invest in stocks and bonds, alternative assets. They have to work with regulators. They have to be compliant. And then along comes crypto with all of its promise. But unfortunately, it's fraught with, let's call them rogue operators, for a better, or lack of a better word. And sure, these operators continue to not be interested in playing by the rules. And they've gotten away with it for a long time. After all, you can't make more money than an unregulated exchange. There's no rules. You can issue tokens for any price you wish. You can trade them back to fiat currencies of any country you wish, and nobody stops you from doing it. It must be very tempting to do that. And in fact, it created a nascent industry. Started with FTX and then Binance, and the two of them together controlled the world. They had 90% of the market. Mm-hmm. Well, I would argue those days are over. They were great days if you owned one of those exchanges and you were able to profit from it. But that will not be the future. Mm-hmm. And you've got to think about, I looked at those charges today. I'm very aware of the FTX case. I've obviously read the charges for FTX, and then I had an hour to read the charges for Coinbase. Right. I'm sorry I'm laughing, but there is a perverse humor to this. It's over because you're now fighting a regulator with unlimited resources, and mm-hmm. So Coinbase doesn't have the same set of charges that Binance has. The Binance charges are serious charges. I mean, my goodness. And right against CZ personally, I don't know what happens next, but there's not going to be many places to hide. And slowly the oxygen is going to be sucked out of his world, because every jurisdiction that has regulated exchanges that also deals in the international financial system that sees the SEC going after him this way is probably going to take pause. And as a result, and I'm sure this is happening by the billions as we speak, if you have an account on Binance, you probably want to check out a Dodge.
Right. Well, Yeah, definitely. And it seems like the timing is just particularly bad. I mean, Gary Gensler is not an unintelligent guy. He knows a little bit about crypto. He knows what kind of shape the market is in right now. And here we have, simultaneous actions against Coinbase and against Binance. Is this, people might say that this is an attempt to hamper an industry. What would you say to blockchain entrepreneurs in the U.S. that are feeling like, wow, we are being unduly regulated, unduly picked on in this particular case?
No, this is the rebirth of an industry. This is a changing of the guard. I don't think CZ will be around in 3 years. I don't think the management of Coinbase will be around in 3 years. I don't think any of the crypto cowboys will be around in 3 years. They'll be replaced by financial professionals that will be operating all of this great new technology in a regulated and compliant fashion, far less profitably, but sustainably. And I mean, it's hard to give up a wonderful thing like an unregulated exchange with virtually no cost to it, but it's over. And I think it's kind of getting boring, to be honest with you, just watching. I mean, if you think about if you're let's go to Coinbase. Let's say you're an institutional shareholder of that stock. You must be getting a little tired of just a constant, your equity's getting crushed. The management keeps saying they're going to change the SEC. It's over. It's over. Yeah, you got to. The best thing to do is clean out management there, bring in, signal the SEC you've got a new team, which is so easy to do, and say, look, we want to find a middle ground, and we want to play in the financial services industry. You can't keep doing this over and over again. The definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. The SEC has unlimited resources. No, they're not going to stop. Sorry about it. Get over it. Turn the page. Let's move on. Let's rebirth the industry. Let's figure it out, because there's so much potential. I would love to invest in crypto 2.0. This is getting ridiculous. It's humorous. And I can guarantee you, having gone to this all started in December at the Senate hearings. I talked to those senators. They're pissed off. They're tired of having to gather every 3 months with another 6 billion stolen from somewhere, or some crypto cowboy being rogue, or whatever it is. They're just sick of it. So there's no emotional support anymore on the Hill, and they've let the hammer of the regulator come down. They're pissed. That's probably excuse my French. They're pissed off. And if you think they're going to change their minds, forget it. This whole thing is over, and I'm glad it's over. Let's move on.
So you're looking at the ending of the Wild West period of crypto. Is that kind of what we're talking about?
Yes, and it's a good thing. Listen, I'm an investor. I want to see Bitcoin at $100,000. It's never going to get there, ever, if it's never going to be owned by institutions. It's never going to be owned by institutions where the next crypto exchange gets sued every week. It's over. It's over. That's got to stop. And we got to figure it out. If we want institutions to get a 1% to 3% allocation so that you can start to see capital appreciation on crypto assets, we're going to need real money. We can't do it with the crypto community. It's too small. It's a fraction. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of the world financial system. We've got to open it up, and we got to get rid of the rogue players and the fraudsters and that's over. It's just over. And it's boring too. I'm sick of it.
Well, I certainly, it does bring to mind when Sam Bankman-Fried was doing his, arguably regrettable interview tour right before he was subject to arrest. How does this situation remind you of that, Kevin? I know you spoke out about that situation a number of times with Benzinga and virtually everywhere else. In this case, we've got simultaneously Gate.io, who seems to be having liquidity problems. Are we still watching the knock-on effects of that one effect, or do you think that this is a systematic cleaning of house coming from regulators?
With one big risk left, the BNB token, about 50 billion. Top 10 wallets have 50% of it. Who knows who owns those? If any of them want to check out and want to convert back to fiat, does Does Binance have 2.5 billion? It's almost a mirror image of what happened. What Binance said to FTX could happen to Binance now. I don't know who owns those wallets. Nobody knows. In fact, the ownership of Binance is one of the reasons it's getting so scrutinized by the SEC and being charged and all the rest of it, and all these allegations of commingling of funds. You've seen this movie already. You just saw it a few months ago. And so we need to get over this. We need to get, who wants to listen to this all over again? So if Binance has to be sacrificed, that's okay. Let's get rid of this stuff and let's start where we can build an industry that's compliant with all the promise it has, and investors like I can invest along with all the institutions I work with. We're all interested, but we just don't want any part of this crap. I mean, it's who wants the SEC breathing down your neck every week? I mean, this is just, and obviously, if you're a public company and your board is starting to say, okay, we've had enough, I think you got to get worried about your job. I really think that's where we're going here.
Yeah, definitely. So what does the future of crypto look like a couple of years from now then? If you're saying we're going into a new phase, are we talking like less ironic t-shirts and power drinks and more, slate gray business suits, more like traditional finance?
Well, let's applaud the crypto community that founded this industry over a decade ago. And they deserve it. They were the pioneers, but unfortunately, there's a hail of arrows going to their back every day. And so they're not big enough or have enough capital to move forward. And nobody wants to join their posse if they're going to be sued by the SEC. So we've really got to think outside of the box and say, okay, where can we go? How big can this be? Very big. I predict that crypto and digital payment systems and all the promise of all of the blockchain financial services will be the 12th sector of the economy as soon as we can regulate it. And that's when you get billions and billions of dollars pouring into it from the investment side, but also from new project side. If you want to create something that's innovative, stablecoins are a great idea if they're regulated, because you can use them alternatively to the SWIFT system, the ACH, the FedWire, which are archaic systems and too expensive and too slow. I'm an investor in Circle. I'd like to see that become an FDI shielded bank, and I'd like to be able to use, any stablecoin. USDC would be great, and let there be a competition. And there's an act in Congress right now that just focuses on stablecoins. Maybe we can move that forward. The good news is the Hill has no appetite for the rogue nation anymore, and they're not going to support it. And this will probably drive regulation faster, not slower, which is great. But we are turning a page today. I think everybody they feel the change. It's a good change. Out with the old, in with the new. If you have to sacrifice a few rogue operators, who cares?
Mm-hmm. And do we feel confident that CZ would be allegedly in that category of rogue operators? I really hadn't had him pegged that way, but then again, 2 years ago, no one had SBF pegged that way either.
I'm just reading the charges like everybody else. I mean, it took a while to go through all those allegations. Those are really serious. I mean, let the chips fall where they may, but that's going to be a real tough road to hoe. You don't want to be CZ today. I have some compassion for him. That's a pretty tough place. Where do you hide? Where do you go? What jurisdiction wants to take you in when the largest regulator on earth is blasting you and litigating you and charging you with a plethora of really damning allegations?
At this point, the primacy of the U.S. dollar has been somewhat challenged over the past couple of years with very high inflation and other kinds of instability here at home. Is this a major challenge to Silicon Valley leadership in the blockchain space? Is that already a thing of the past?
Not at all. I think the promise of crypto remains there. I'm still very bullish about it. I think regulation would really help, obviously. The US dollar denominates virtually every commodity on earth. It's not going anywhere. I've been listening to this cry for, a different global currency since 1975. It never happens. You ask anybody, including the crypto cowboys, where they want their real money, it's in the US dollar. That's where it is. And so I'm not worried about that. I certainly don't want the Chinese yuan, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've been extremely generous taking the time to speak to us today. I really appreciate it. I always like to leave off on a positive note. Of course, it's been a chilly crypto winter for a lot of people out there. A lot of our home audience has been feeling it. You know, retail investors and so forth. So, where shall people put their focus to focus on something positive that's happening in the space? What makes you feel hyped for the space right now? Because obviously, you're still bullish on crypto itself.
I think you have to think of the Gensler spatula coming out of the sky and scraping all the crap out of the crypto market. And that is a good thing. Turn the page, let's move on. Brighter days are ahead. Sacrifice a few pioneers, that's okay. But it's not like you can't say you didn't see it coming.
Right. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Kevin, for coming and joining us today. Please come back anytime. We really appreciate your insights into this issue, and I guess we will see how this continues to develop.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Well, that was amazing. What a great opportunity to be able to sit down with Kevin O'Leary and talk about this issue. It does feel like history is repeating itself a little bit. Where the end point is will be interesting to find out. In the meantime, I mean, definitely there's going to be some out with the old, in with the new, as Kevin had said. It'll be interesting to see if it plays out the way he's talking about. If it is a matter of bad actors moving out of the space, so that the rest of the space, the Web3 space, can prosper, then that sounds like a very positive thing. So we will continue to follow this closely, and please stay tuned to benzinga.com and to our YouTube channel. This is Justin Roberti. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we will talk to you soon. Take care.